AUC. AUC, Deputy Chairperson, Dr. Monique.
I propose that we consider funding and technology integration into agriculture to make the sector adaptive to climate change. There is also an urgent need to focus on youth and women's challenges. We need to identify areas of quick wins that do not require huge resources but have high impact value. Africa therefore needs to implement strategies that will expand regional and international trade in support of the trade and investment objectives. The goal is to expand production, create employment opportunities, and generate income in developing countries. Kenya is a leading destination in Africa for global foreign direct investment. In 2022, FDI to Kenya was estimated at $760 million, accounting for 20% of the FDI flows of $3.8 billion to the East African community. The presence of over 100 companies in Kenya in very strategic sectors attests to this achievement. This underlines our competitiveness as the financial and investment hub of the East African community. Your Excellencies, it is crucial to develop an enabling ecosystem for startups across the African continent, aimed at creating a robust network of entrepreneurs working together to attract more FDI, foster innovation, and address societal changes. This could hold the key to revolutionizing global supply chains to make them equitable, inclusive, sustainable, and responsive for all nations. More than ever before, we need to relook at one of the aims of TICAD on how to integrate African priorities into the international cooperation agenda of partners. Kenya appreciates Japan's continued support to African-led efforts, especially in quality infrastructural development, as exemplified in projects like the Mombasa Southern Bypass Project, Mombasa Gate Bridge, and the Dongokundu Special Economic Zone, geared towards regional connectivity and promotion of trade and investment. The iconic bypass has opened up a parallel access spanning from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania to Lamu in Kenya, thus providing a seamless road connectivity to the continent that will go a long way in promoting intra-trade within the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Trade and investment play a critical role in propelling economic growth and poverty alleviation. Developing countries in Africa account for 18% of the global population, yet the continent's contribution to global trade is less than 3%. The trade between Africa and Japan is fairly balanced. In 2023, the value of exports from Africa to Japan was estimated at $8.28 billion, while imports from Japan were estimated at $10.27 billion, resulting in a deficit of $1.98 billion in favor of Japan. The nature of trade imbalance between Africa and Japan remains of concern, as Africa's exports to Japan were majorly unprocessed agricultural products and natural minerals, while Japan's exports to Africa were finished products. This is a call for Africa and Japan to tap into the immense opportunities to reverse this trade imbalance through promotion of value addition of our raw materials to scale up our mutual trade and investment. On global governance, collaborative action is necessary to strengthen the functions of the United Nations, including reforms of the Security Council and the international financial architecture. Japan and the AU can jointly play a greater role in harmonizing various initiatives on reforms of the multilateral system. For the past 30 years, Tokyo International Conference on Africa TICAD has consistently rallied the call for Africa's development. We appreciate this support from Japan. In August 2016, Kenya proudly hosted TICAD 6, the first ever held in Africa. It is also worth noting that in 2008, Kenya's Professor Miriam Were was the first recipient of the Hideo Ngushi Africa Prize Award, which has now become part of TICAD activities. This speaks to Kenya's appreciation of the TICAD process.
Desir Meti Our ministry has allocated a budget of the $1 billion to accelerate business cooperation with emerging economies, including sub-Saharan Africa. We hope to use this funding to bring together the strengths of Japan and Africa to create the industries of the future together and contribute to the economic growth of the world as a whole. Our ministry has been conducting the Japan-Africa Public-Private Economic Forum in the years between TICAD.
Since April this year, Japan has appointed in 6 countries and 7 diplomatic missions economic area officers, mainly in countries outside Africa, with a view to further strengthening multifaceted economic relations with Africa, in addition to supporting the private sector in cooperation with the African Development Bank. We're encouraging private companies in Japan to extend their cross-border businesses into Africa by working with companies from Europe, the Middle East, India, and elsewhere to expand trade and investment in Africa. The second point is to promote startups to facilitate economic transformation and innovative solutions to social issues.
経済産業大臣政務官の石井
I am Taku Ishii, Parliamentary Vice Minister for Economy, Trade and Industry. Distinguished ministers of African countries and the Japanese companies, I sincerely welcome you to today's TICAD Ministerial Meeting and Economic Session 3. This is the hottest season of the year in Japan today. I look forward to heated discussion in this hot Tokyo for the future of Africa and Japan.
Let us share successes and challenges as evidence, learn from each other, and create even better examples as we look ahead to cooperation at TICAD 9 and beyond, and together create the future. At this ministerial meeting, we would like to build on the results we have achieved so far and discuss the future of Africa as a global growth center where people can shine.
They focus largely on very strong partnerships, and I want Kenyans to know that we are the largest recipient in sub-Saharan Africa of Japanese ODA funding. They support us from the whole of the port of Mombasa, SEZ, Thiba Dam, Mwea irrigation. They plan to do they've done all the bridges along the coast, including Dogokundu, and there's also the Mombasa Bridge that is being done. They are investing in energy. They're investing in health through KEMRI. They're the ones who funded Jomo Kenyatta JUCAT. So we have a very, very strong and robust partnership with Japan and also Japanese companies like Toyota Tusho. So that is why we are here on the TICAD agenda.
First, I'm very honored to join His Excellency the Prime Cabinet Secretary to be part of the Kenyan team representing the country in this very important meeting. The TICAD ministerial meeting, as His Excellency has mentioned, is a preparatory meeting for TICAD summit next year in Yokohama. The TICAD process is one of Africa's most successful partnerships. Africa, through the African Union, has various partnerships with countries around the world, and this one is very meaningful. It is important for Kenyans to know that this is one of the most successful partnerships that we align our strategic interest with. We know that Japan has been a very good supporter to Kenya through ODA, Overseas Development Assistance, but more importantly, Japan is a growing investor in Kenya. As of today, we have about 118 Japanese companies in Kenya. And when you look at a total of 948 Japanese companies all over Africa, 118 is not a bad number. My task here is to ensure that there is an increase of those companies investing in Kenya, that there is more windows opportunities for Kenyans to do trade here and import their products to Japan, and also to open avenues for innovation and transfer of technology to solve some of our development challenges. I arrived here a day before His Excellency the Prime Minister, Prime Cabinet Secretary arrived. So I've kind of gone through a baptism of fire, and it is very, very fulfilling to know that our country values the partnership with Japan, and I'm honored to present the country here in Japan.
I'd like to take a commemorative photograph. We would like
Affairs of the Republic of Kenya to deliver opening remarks. それでは外務省
Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs of the Republic of Kenya.
Now we would like to call upon Mr. Shibusawa Ken.
Economy, and all the large companies you hear about these days, back then were startups. And those
because it is tech and innovation. For instance, in 2022, and in the tech sub opportunity, a business venture, they align themselves with business in the areas of food security, healthcare systems, promoting financial development and the linkages. For us, we think, and they're involved in business. It's important to implement packages of incentives like targeted tax. But it's also important to promote the ecosystem itself. Starting today. A few years ago, the UNDP administrator launched the...
You can see long-term durability of the story. Yeah. All the rain. Impact on rain.
When it's very wet.
Yeah, the quality is good. In Nigeria, also we have some projects coming up. So anytime. Thank you.